As we come to the peak of the spring seasonal buying period and emerge out of the pandemic, we're seeing available inventory climb each week now. So what does that mean and what's going to happen next? We'll put that into perspective in this week's Altos Research Market Report. Each week, Altos tracks every home for sale in the country, all the pricing and all the supply and demand and the metrics. And we make this data available to you before the traditional media channels. It's Monday, May 31, 2021, Memorial Day. And here is the data. Total available inventory of unsold single-family homes in the U.S. climbed again this week, up 1% to 327,000 homes. It's such a relief to see every bit of extra inventory that we can get. We have 54% fewer homes on the market now than last year at this time. Last year, of course, we were at the start of this remarkable pandemic buying spree where rates were falling and Americans gobbled up every home as soon as it got listed. Every time I discuss the rising inventory now, I do feel compelled to point out that we are incredibly far from oversupply and the demand is still off the charts pretty much everywhere in the country. So these moves are just minor ticks towards rebalancing supply and demand. These are not bearish signals at all. To reinforce this message about the insatiable demand, we've been producing this visualization on immediate sales. So of the 100,000 or so new homes that came to market each week in the country, more than a quarter of them are snapped up instantly, essentially instantly, within hours or days of listings. Another quarter of them are sold within a week. So this is this week 27,000 immediate sales. So not until this number starts compressing will we really be preparing for the buyer frenzy to subside in any measurable way. We're definitely off the bottom of inventory with several weeks in a row now of positive inventory changes. So that's the far right green spikes on this chart. Since we went over a year without a single week of inventory climbing, we'll likely have years before we resume any kind of inventory normalcy. Despite the inventory changes, we are approaching the seasonal peak of prices in the next few weeks. This week, the median price of a single-family home in the U.S. ticked up a fraction, tiny fraction, to $399,900. You can see that psychological factors keep the prices commonly right below a big round number, like 400,000. For extended periods. So notice on the red line here that 339.8 or 299.990, the peak plateaus that happen at this time during previous years. So we're at that barrier right now at 400,000. Will be interesting to see if prices sneak above 400K before the end of June. The median price of the new listings also ticked up this week to 370,000. New listings pricing remains strong. That's the green line on this chart. It's actually helpful to use a different visualization of the new listings price. That's this chart here. This compares those new listings over the same point year over year, the last 4 years. Notice that normally the new listings price leads the active market by a month, and the pricing usually peaks in May for a notable decline in June, July, August. Last year, the gray line here, you see demand kept pricing incredibly strong until much later in the year, November, really, before we saw any seasonal decline. So far this year, the new listings are showing the continued strength of 2020. They haven't ticked down yet at all, really. So I do suspect they will in the next couple of months, as school and work are less virtual than they were a year ago. So demand is going to have to follow more seasonal patterns, at least a little more than last year. So that is all the data we have time for this holiday shortened week. People keep asking me, can we know in advance when this market is going to change? So the answer is probably yes. And next week, Thursday, June 10th, we have an hour-long webinar looking at that answer. So we will be investigating this new normal of the real estate market and what it means for buyers and sellers. So if you are in the real estate industry and you need to help clients navigate through this, and you want to know, how do we know when it's going to change? Click on the link below to register for next week's webinar, June 10th, right now. Okay, more data next week, Monday, and then Thursday, June 10th, the webinar. So subscribe here on the YouTube channel so that you don't miss any of the market data changes. And I hope that you and family have a wonderful holiday week.